Welcome back, everybody, to another
Wood Stove Wednesday.
All right, Shazam. That's Wood Stove Wednesdays is where we just pick a topic or something that we want to talk about, and then just sit down and chit chat with you guys. And this topic is going to be how not to move to Alaska. Is that right?
Yeah.
The wrong way to move to Alaska. How not to do it. There's ways to do it. This is the opposite way of how you should do it. So when we were looking for our property, there was another couple that was looking for property as well. I don't remember. Do you remember what state they were from? We never met them. Let's get this out of the way. We've never met this couple. We only heard the story through their realtor.
Yes.
Because their realtor was the guy that we were working with, and no names will be mentioned in this video because we don't want to get nobody in trouble. But it's like one of the craziest stories you've ever heard. It's like so crazy, you're like, you can't make this stuff up. It's so crazy, it has to be real.
Yeah, the whole story lasted like a month long.
Yeah. So, and we actually had bought our property. And every time we would run into the realtor, we would ask him, like, hey, you got any updates on the other people? And then he would give us the update.
So our realtor was worried about us. Because he was like, are you sure you guys really want to do this? And
yeah.
we're like, yes.
We really do.
We've talked about it. We know what we're getting into. You know, we're confident.
And I'm sure he said the same thing to the other couple. But I don't remember what state they were from.
It was
like Ohio.
It was something crazy like that. Yeah.
So this couple had nered well, and same as me. I'd never owned a boat. I didn't have any boating experience.
How this couple started with this gentleman? He was just always watching Alaska reality TV.
Of course, dude.
And he was like, I'm going to do this.
Bet. That's what I'm going to do.
That's what I'm going to do. I've never done anything like this at all, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move to...
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, more power to people that want to do that.
Right. So he started out with not knowing a darn thing. And he decided to move to...
It's in the southeast, but it was north of us.
Yeah.
And he bought, and our realtor advised him that he should come and check out the property, but he bought it sight unseen, and then liquidated all of his junk that he didn't need, packed up his family, and went to Burlingame, Washington.
So drove to...
Yeah, drove him and a trailer full of stuff to...
Two kids,
two dogs, and a wife. So he drove to Burlingame, Washington, and that's where the big ferry, it's a 3-day trip. You can get your truck, you can rent cabins, you can leave Bellingham, Washington, and you can go all the way from Bellingham, Washington to Alaska. Mm-hmm. And to get to Juneau, it's a 3-day trip. It's probably a 3-day trip to get to Ketchikan too. But anyways, we left midday from Bellingham. 3 days later, we got here on the third day. It was like the morning, like 1 or 2 in the morning.
So basically what he did is he dropped all their stuff that they were taking with it, and they put it on the ferry.
They put a trailer on the ferry. And the realtor was super cool. He's like, okay. They said, I'm going to put our stuff on the ferry. Can you get our trailer off the ferry? And he's like, yeah, I'll store your stuff.
Because he decided that he needed to buy a boat because he would have to get back and forth with this property with a boat.
Yeah, so it was kind of like us. His main transportation would have been a boat to get to and from his property.
So he decided to buy a boat. Never had driven a boat. Didn't know anything about boats. Mm-mm. And he was going to buy a boat in Washington.
He probably didn't watch my video about boats. and what the best boat for Southeast Alaska is, because that probably would have helped him. Seriously. I mean, I'm just saying.
So what kind of boat did he buy?
So our demographic is from like the 30s to 60s. I mean, that's our crowd. So if you're 30 years old to 60 years old, you know a great TV show from the 80s called Miami Vice with Tubbs. And what was Don Johnson's name? I don't remember. But so he bought a cigar boat. And a cigar boat is those like slick, fast, streamlined boats that they have out in Hawaii, but
crazy.
That's not a
seaworthy boat to go from, right?
Yeah, so it's not like the boat you want to. So that's what he bought. He bought a cigar boat, and he set sail from Washington, and went to Washington, headed to Juneau, and then. From there, all hell broke loose. It was perfect up until that. He had a great plan, but once he set sail, it went bad fast. And as soon as he left Washington,
he leans over the boat and his cell phone goes whoop in the water.
Lost his cell phone. So now they have besides radio, they have no communication to the outside world, besides VHF radio, and so keep in mind on this cigar boat, he's got him, his wife, 2 kids, and 2 dogs. Mm-hmm. Cramped.
Cigar boat.
And a cigar boat. And so he heads off, and he's flying this huge American flag in the back of his boat. And he's got to make pit stops in Canada to refuel. Mm-hmm. And on his very first stop into Canada, the Border Patrol sees this huge American flag off this drug smuggling cigar boat, Miami Vice. So, of course, they board the boat.
They do.
And they say, hey, do you have any
drugs?
Do you got any fruits? Do you got any firearms? Do you got any explosives? The typical question that you get asked when you pass the border. And he goes, no. No, sir, I do not. Could have been a ma'am. No, ma'am, I do not. So, of course they search the boat.
And they find a firearm.
Pew, 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 pew. Not good for this guy.
Nope.
And not only is they found a pistol. We don't know if it was a revolver or a semi-automatic, but one thing you don't want to take into Canada is a semi-automatic pistol. They'll let you take bolt-action rifles through Canada. You just got to fill out forms. So I don't know if he just forgot about the forms, and it was a revolver, or I don't know. And I've never took a pistol through Canada. I've only taken rifles through Canada. So I could be wrong, and laws change every once in a while, but I know you can take revolvers, and I know you can take bolt-action rifles through, and shotguns for hunting purposes. So anyways, they find the pistol. Everybody's off the boat.
Yep.
They go downtown.
They're like, you can't come back through Canada anymore.
You can't come here no more. So now I don't know how maybe he just stocked up on fuel, just put a whole bunch of jerry cans in his boat, because he can't stay. He needs to make at least one more stop into Canada, and he can't do it.
Right.
So
they set sail.
So they set sail. He's lucky he didn't go to jail. I mean, prison.
They're lucky they let
I'm sure he got a fine. So yeah, they set sail again.
And then, lo and behold...
Yeah, of course, it's Southeast Alaska. So, the winds kick up, we get into a big storm.
Seas. And what happens?
This guy's... mentally, I know him. He's crapping his pants going, I never drove a boat in my life. And these are big waves. And it's windy. Mm-hmm. My kids are scared. My dogs are crapping all over the place.
My wife's saying, we're going to get a divorce.
You're not my seaboat captain. That's what his wife said. We are through. As soon as we hit land, we are through.
So They come up.
So, yeah.
They come down and they hit a huge tree.
Like in like a video or two ago, you seen that huge ass 100-foot tree that washed up on shore? Boom. That's what they hit.
Mm-hmm.
Put a hole in the boat.
Luckily, they are able to get
back to shore. Back to Canada.
So
Canada said no.
they're like, you are not getting back on this boat.
Yeah, Canada said, we told you not to come back to Canada. You cannot come into Canada. We are going to escort you straight to an airport. You'll have to buy a ticket to Juneau, and we don't ever want to see you again. You're banned. He basically got banned from Canada. He got booted from Canada.
Yep.
So, we don't know what happened to his boat. Last time we heard, his boat was in Canada.
Yep.
Forever. So him, his wife, his 2 kids, and his 2 dogs get on a plane, fly to Juneau,
Get his trailer.
pick up his trailer, and then the realtor takes him, 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 dogs, 2 kids, and his wife, and his trailer on a landing craft to the property. So they rent a big landing craft where you can put all your stuff on, and then they'll lower the thing at the beach and you can take all your stuff off. At this time, he didn't have another boat, so he would have had to have called for a float plane or a helicopter to come pick him up to bring him back and forth to town. So, and this is us always seeing our realtor
every week we would come in for more of the story.
Be like, hey, what's going on with the guys from Ohio? He'd be like, oh, you ain't gonna believe this. They got busted in Canada. So he's at his property, sight unseen, ain't got no boat, got a very upset wife, 2 I don't know what's going on kids, and 2 dogs that are just happy to be back on land. And so the last thing we heard from our realtor is that this guy wanted to make an outhouse, and he found some lumber that was just off of his property. So the lumber that was close to his property but not on his property, he was like, I'm going to use this lumber and build my outhouse.
Needless to say, his neighbor did not like him anymore.
His neighbors were like, dude, what are you doing? That's my lumber.
Yep.
So we went back into town and we saw our buddy, the realtor, and we said, hey man, what's the latest scoop?
They said he was leaving.
He said shots were fired.
Nobody likes him anymore.
The state troopers were called out. He said that was it.
It was best for him to put the property back up
He
for
put
sale.
the property back up for sale. And to be honest, it was probably his wife. That's it. I'm done. We are taking our you-know-what back to Ohio.
Yep. So,
long story short,
don't jump into this without doing a lot of preparation.
Now, boats are going to be cheaper in Washington. That's a fact.
Maybe not.
The best thing to do probably would be to get that boat, put it on the ferry, and unless it's a good seaworthy boat, if you're wanting to make a big, nice journey like that, a Nordic tug would be an awesome boat. It's not fast, but that thing will handle whatever you throw at it. A good deep V 28-foot boat would be an awesome boat to have for a journey like that. I wouldn't take my boat on that journey because I would have to go solo because she wouldn't go. But our boat has a V, but it kind of tapers off. It's kind of like a hybrid between a sea boat and a river boat because it flattens out at the back.
It's not a comfortable ride at all.
So, yeah. So, long story short, man, if you want to move to Alaska, there's ways to do it, ways not to do it. This definitely was a way not to do it.
Don't do anything sight unseen.
Well, you can buy property sight unseen, but I would definitely do it through a realtor because the realtor has to be semi-truthful to you.
No, the realtor kept telling him, that they
Yeah, well,
should be-
yeah. But that's what I'm saying. If the realtor says don't do it, then I wouldn't do it.
Sure.
But there's a lot of areas in Alaska that they call muskeg, which is basically like swamp. And so if you're like, oh, I got 10 acres, and then it turns out that 9.5 acres of that is all muskeg, and you can't build on it, you can't grow crops on it, then you just wasted a whole bunch of money. So it's best to know what you're getting yourself into. So I always advise people that if you want to come up here, I advise you to A, take a trip to Alaska to see if it's actually all that in a bag of chips, and B, if you're looking at property, you should probably find out what area you want to live in because you came up here and did a little vacation and narrowed it down. I want to live here. Then line up, hey, these are the 5 or 10 properties I want to look at. Get your realtor to set all that stuff up in like a week-long vacation. Go to Alaska, look at all the properties, and then you can pick which one you like. That's my advice.
It's good advice, babe.
Don't buy a cigar boat and set sail.
Don't believe reality TV.
Don't take a pistol into Canada and then tell the Border Patrol that you don't have a firearm because they'll find it. Yeah. Anyways,
Let's do the comment of the day.
Commenter of the week, Mama. Commenter of the week goes to
I forgot my little drums.
Rustic by Nature. Rustic by Nature is also a fellow YouTuber. He lives up in Palmer, and his comment was, this was for security off-grid. His comment was, I can tell you motion lights do not phase moose. Lol. LOL. Thank you. I totally believe it. A lot of things don't phase moose. Nothing phases a moose. Cars, air horns, snowmobiles, nothing. Me and her brother rode like straight up to a moose, like 10 feet, didn't even care. Until you get into September. And then when September comes, that's hunting season, then everything scares the moose. They're like, what was that? What was that? Let's get out of here. That's just how it goes. They don't care about nothing until September hits, and then they're like, whoa. What was that? So thank you, Rustic by Nature. We always appreciate you leaving comments on our videos. And if you want to be the commenter of the week, what do you got to do?
If you want us to know, comment below. Okay, do it again.
I'm not doing it again. We're rolling. If you want to know, leave a comment below. There's no cuts. This is a take.
Oh, shit. You're funny.
No, you're funny. So, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.